Going on, everybody? It's Key Time coming back with another one to talk about week 15 of the NFL. This is my reaction video. I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to get straight into the reactions from all the games from week 15, starting off with the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. This game was a total blowout. I mean, it was 49-0 at halftime. The Chargers, they didn't show any type of enthusiasm throughout the first half of the game. And another reason why is on third down, the Chargers' third down defense, which is one of the worst in the NFL, they couldn't get off the field on third down, and they couldn't get to the Raiders quarterback in Aiden McConnell. Now, with what the Chargers have offensively as of now, with Justin Herbert being out, it's almost close to street trash, as you can say. So, with the Raiders, they still have a chance to make the playoffs. I don't think that they'll make the playoffs, but after what they have endured from what happened early in the season till now, this is a good improvement for them from when they fired Josh McDaniels. And another thing, the Raiders, they need to keep Antonio Pierce and make him the head coach, because the guys vibe off of him and he gets enthusiasm out of everybody that is in the locker room. Now, for the Chargers, I already had Brandon Staley on my chopping block. He still is on my chopping block. So I already knew that he was going to be gone eventually. So now what we have to realize is, with Brandon Staley, he came from the LA Rams coaching staff, Sean McVay. He came from the Sean McVay coaching tree. Everybody thought when the Chargers got Brandon Staley, he was going to implement the Rams system into the Chargers system. But we see that didn't transpire, and that's why he had a losing record, 24-25, including that blowout loss to the Raiders on Thursday night. So that's all I got to say for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Minnesota Vikings and Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams fighting for a playoff spot. Both teams still have a chance to make the playoff. Now, from what I seen in that game, the Vikings, the offense, it really didn't do much in the game. The first quarter, it didn't do much. Second quarter didn't do much. Third quarter, they started to do something, but then you had the lead going into the fourth quarter, and you end up losing because of a fourth down situation. Now it's 4th and 1. Run it right up the middle. Don't try or sneak it. The only team that can do the tush push, the brotherly shove, is the Eagles, and they do it with a lot of effectiveness. They, including, as far as I'm gonna give y'all a stat, as far as third down, if it's 3rd and 1 or less, the Eagles, they do the tush push 95% of the time, and their efficiency rate is 98%. So every time they get into a short yardage situation, here come the tush push, and they get a first down. That's the only team in the NFL that has ran that play with a lot of efficiency. The Vikings, they tried it, and I knew the whole momentum of the game switched after that. The whole momentum of the game switched after that, because the Vikings, they could have won that game, but turnover on downs. Bengals go down, kick a field goal where they went to overtime. Turnover on downs in overtime. Excuse me. Then Bengals get the ball, go down, kick a field goal, and win the game. But they were trailing by 14 in the fourth quarter. Now the Vikings, that's a game where you let it slip away. That's all I got for that game. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Pittsburgh Steelers and Indianapolis Colts. Pittsburgh, I don't think it's best for them not to make the playoffs. Y'all already know how I feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense and who they have at quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. This guy was the top pick in the 2018 draft, and he has just bounced around. He's just an NFL journeyman now. He bounced around from this team, that team, and now he's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh's offense, still one of the worst in the NFL. What do you expect coming into the last few games of the season when you need these games for a playoff spot? What do you expect? Third down offense, we're near the bottom in the NFL. Third down efficiency on offense, near the bottom in the NFL. And they have inept quarterback play. It's been Kenny Pickett, now Mitchell Trubisky, and who knows, they may even put Mason Rudolph in the starting lineup this week because you have lack of quarterback production in the game. Now with the Colts, I'm not surprised that they won this game. I had them winning this game at home. They are 8-6 in a three-way tie with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the top spot in the AFC South. But can Gardner Minshew keep this up? I believe he can. He done kept it up ever since Anthony Richardson got injured, and that was back in week 4. So the Colts, they can make the playoffs. Now, will they make the playoffs? They are going to need 3 other teams who are also 8-6 to lose. Plus, they need a couple of teams that are 7-7 to lose. So they have a bunch of tiebreakers, and they need a lot of tiebreakers to fall in their favor in order to make the playoffs. That's all I have on that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, I knew that this was going to be a bounce back game for them because of the loss last week to the Chicago Bears. Now, as far as the Broncos, everybody is wondering what Sean Payton was yelling, why Sean Payton was yelling at Russell Wilson. What Sean Payton was yelling at Russell Wilson for during the game. I mean, it's obvious. The offensive line wasn't lined up properly. But I also have to fault Sean Payton because on that first to go, it looked like the running back scored a touchdown. Sean Payton, you should have threw the challenge flag, but you didn't, and you ended up settling for a field goal, and that's where you lost the game at. Because offense wasn't doing nothing in the first half. I don't even think they got past the 50 into the Detroit Lions territory in the first half. And then you come out with a lackluster second half. Broncos 7-7 still have a chance to make the playoffs. Do they make the playoffs? I don't know. I wouldn't put my money on it. Now the Detroit Lions, they've had some, for the last 5 weeks of the season, they've had some up and down games. Are they going to win the NFC South? I believe so. That's all I have on that game. Now the next game I want to talk about is the Chicago Bears and Cleveland Browns. That game, that game between the Chicago Bears and Cleveland Browns were lucky to win that game. I mean, Darnell Mooney, I don't know how you drop a pass when you sitting flat on your butt. I don't know how you drop that pass. But the Chicago Bears, I didn't expect them to win this game. I expected the Browns to protect home field. And the Browns, like I've been saying for the last month and a half, they just need to get ready for the 2024 NFL draft. Who knows? They may get Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr., or Bo Nix. Whoever they get, they need to shore up that offensive line, because it don't matter who you put behind the offensive line, the quarterbacks are getting sacked anyway. So for the Browns, 9-5, have a chance to make the playoffs. I believe that the Browns are obviously gonna make the playoffs. They only need, I think, to win one or two more games. Well, basically, they only need to win one more game and have 3 or 4 teams lose, and they'll be in the playoffs. And I think that they'll get that game, the coming game against their next game. So that's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Green Bay Packers. Baker Mayfield, he showed me something against the Packers. A perfect passer rating for people out there that are not aware of what a perfect passer rating is. It is 158.3. That's a perfect passer rating for people who were not aware of that before this video. Now, Baker Mayfield, he had 4 touchdowns, didn't have any interceptions, and played with a bunch of precision throughout the game against the Packers. Now, the Packers, you have tough sledding. You 6-8, you still have a chance to make the playoffs, but you need a whole lot to go in your favor. You need about 4 teams to lose, and you need to win out to get to even be playoff eligible. So for the Green Bay Packers, you win out, that'll be 9-8, and then you need 3 or 4 other teams to lose. I don't see that happening. For the Buccaneers, you have a chance. You're leading the division. If you win 2 of the next 3 games, you'll be done won the NFC South and completely debunk my preseason prediction of the Saints winning the NFC East. Now the Saints, they still have a chance to win the NFC East too, at the same exact record at 7-7. But I'll talk about the Saints a little bit later on in this video. That's all I have for that game. Now the next game I want to talk about is the Houston Texans and Tennessee Titans. What I got from this game, and I seen this game, is resiliency from the Houston Texans. Not having C.J. Stroud in the lineup, having Case Keenum, and basically the offense in this game was non-existent. I said that this would be a close game, basically a defensive struggle, and that's exactly what it was. Now, Case Keenum, he made maybe 3-4 critical passes in this game to win the game, but I gotta give it to the Houston Texans kicker, Fairbairn. He made a 54-yard field goal in overtime, and that's what won the game. Now, a lot of people had the Texans losing this game because C.J. Stroud wasn't there, but this team goes way further than just C.J. Stroud. Now, they are in a 3-way tie with the Jaguars atop the division. Only reason why the Jaguars have the top spot in the AFC South is because they have the better division record between their divisional foes. That's all I have for that game. Tennessee still have a chance at making the playoffs. I think that they'll make the playoffs. I had them as my dark horse team coming into the season. So hopefully they make the playoffs. That's all I have for that game. Now the next game I want to talk about is the New York Jets and Miami Dolphins. The New York Jets are out of the playoff race now, so there is no reason for Aaron Rodgers to come back. Zach Wilson, he's up and down. The Jets still have him under contract coming in the next season. And as far as the offensive line has given up the most sacks in the NFL. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm looking forward to next season, I'm going to tell the front office of the New York Jets, get me some good offensive linemen, guys, because the New York Jets have given up over 45 sacks this season, which is second worst in the NFL. The worst in the NFL, the worst offensive line in the NFL is the Washington Commanders. I'm going to talk about the Washington Commanders later on in this same video. Now, for the Miami Dolphins, all of their wins have came against teams against subpar 500 records. The game that they have this coming weekend is against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that also has a winning record and the same record as them. So, mano y mano. I'll give you my prediction in the next video. But that's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs and New England Patriots. New England Patriots, they out of the playoff chase. They just need to go ahead, get ready for their draft in April, and that's exactly what they're doing. Now, as far as the Chiefs, Kadarius Toney, he need to work on catching the ball, because it was 2 times I seen in that game where Kadarius Toney had the ball, hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it. And you see Patrick Mahomes, he came off the field on the sideline frustrated. The guy got to catch the ball in the play. Who knows? Because in the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes, he is gonna need Kadarius Toney. The only person who is reliable outside of Travis Kelce for the Chiefs is Rashid Rice. That's all. But the Chiefs did what they had to do, beat the Patriots, a Patriots team that ain't going nowhere. They 9-5. So now they are able to keep that third spot in the AFC, but they're going to have to go on the road. They're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs. That's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, they did what they had to do. Protect home field. They 7-7, currently in a tie with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like I mentioned earlier. If it comes down to the last game of the season, which the New Orleans Saints and Tampa Bay Buccaneers play, I'm going to just base that game off of home field. But as far as right now, both teams have a chance to make the playoffs. Only one is going to make the playoffs, because they are going to go head to head, and they are going to base the playoff seeding between those two based off of head to head games, home record, and road record. So Saints, they did what they were supposed to do. Giants came into this game limping, had a lot of injuries. Offense was inept, didn't do nothing second half. What do you expect? So that's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about, and this was probably the worst game of the week. The Atlanta Falcons and Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers, this game, I'm not gonna get into this game too much. We know what the ending score was, 9-7. Not too much offense to talk about, not too much on the defensive side to talk about either. Only thing, the Panthers won this game by field goals, but the Atlanta Falcons offense was non-existent, and I don't think that they will make the playoffs because you have to score points in the playoffs and you have to defend in the playoffs. Now, even though this was the Panthers, Falcons, you should have won this game. In fact, I had you winning this game, but since you lost this game, the playoffs are looking bleak now, and plus your season is hanging by a thread. If you lose this game, this coming up week, you out of the playoffs. So in my book, you already out of the playoffs whether you win that game or not. So that's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Washington Commanders and Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, from where they came from early in the season till now, 7-7, still have a chance to make the playoffs, is an improvement within itself. The Commanders, y'all already know how I feel about them. They gonna have a complete overhaul. Magic Johnson and Josh Harris has came out publicly saying that. Well, not publicly, but in a letter to the Washington Commander fan faithful, that all jobs will be evaluated. Now, when it comes to the Rams, they got Cooper Kupp, still have Matthew Stafford. The offense is clicking at the right time. They still may be able to make the playoffs at 7-7. And who knows? They may make the playoffs over the Saints. Who knows? It remains to be seen. That's all I have for that game. The next game I want to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers and Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals, not going to talk about them too much. Worst team, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Kyler Murray still there. They are just getting ready for the NFL draft in April. Now, as far as the 49ers, it's going to be hard to bet against the 49ers come playoff time. It's hard to bet against them now because they have a complete team overall. And do they have any weaknesses? I don't see a weakness on the San Francisco 49ers. They scored 45 points. They averaged over 30 points a game. They only giving up 18 points per game. So that all in all in itself, and plus they won the NFC West. So all in all, that's fine and dandy. But they said coming into the season they wanted to win the Super Bowl. So they still have a good chance at making the Super Bowl. Now that's all I have for that game. Now the next game I want to talk about is my Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills. This game was complete domination by the Buffalo Bills running game. Josh Allen, he didn't even throw for 100 yards in this game, and they still won. Now, from what I seen in this game, all Dallas Cowboy fans out there, our offense couldn't get it in gear. When you look at this game, giving up over 200 yards in the running game is bad. Not getting a defensive stop in the first half or the second half was bad in itself. Even when the Cowboys did get a defensive stop, the offense didn't do much with the field position. I believe that this is just a bad game, but not a bad sign. I believe that even now the Cowboys, they are in the playoffs. No matter of fact, when the Falcons lost their game, Cowboys immediately were in the playoffs. So, but is this a bad sign for on down the road? Maybe, maybe not. It remains to be seen. But they just didn't look too good playing against Buffalo. I had them winning this game coming into the week, but when I looked at their schedule before the season started, I said that the Cowboys have a possibility of losing this game because mid-December going into Buffalo and it's going to be cold, I had them losing that game coming into the season. So that's all I have on that game. The next game I want to talk about is Sunday Night Football. Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, 3-game losing streak. Ain't looking too good for the Jaguars. The only points they were able to score is a touchdown. But I want to talk about before halftime, that clock management. You on the 4-yard line with 15 seconds left. You have to spike the ball. Spike the ball, get everybody, have them catch their breath. The clock management before halftime was ridiculous. That is where I think that the Jaguars lost the game, and plus they weren't able to get much pressure on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, when he gets out of the pocket, he is not going to run. He is looking to throw. So all defenses, when you play Lamar Jackson, if he get out of the pocket, he is looking to throw. He is not looking to run anymore like he did earlier in his career. But all in all, the Ravens, they did a good job. They won this game. Defense had a stellar performance. Now they have a big game against the San Francisco 49ers coming up this coming week. So that is a potential Super Bowl preview. But I will get into my prediction for that game in another video. Now, that's all I have on that game. Now, the last game of the week, Monday Night Football. Last night, Philadelphia Eagles and Seattle Seahawks. One thing I have to say is thank you, Seattle, because you helped my Dallas Cowboys out. We currently have the second seed. Now, one thing the Eagles, they had coming into last night's game, they had to win out in order to get the NFC East crown. Since they've lost that game last night, they ain't looking too hot. And plus, you have a Giants team that still have a chance to make the playoffs, even though the Giants season is hanging by a thread. Could the New York Giants play spoiler? I'm going to save my prediction for another video. But for Seattle, they are also at 7-7. There are 5 teams in the NFC that have a record of 7-7 and can still make the playoffs. Now the next 3 weeks of the NFL season is going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of playoff scenarios, a lot of teams hoping and wishing for this team and that team to lose. But as for the Philadelphia Eagles, They ain't looking too hot. The offense ain't looking too hot. The defense is giving up big plays in the run game and pass game. And plus, Jalen Hurts, he ain't looking too good as of right now. So, Eagles, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL to end the regular season. So, who knows? The Giants, I believe the Giants gonna end up winning one of those remaining 3 games that the Eagles have. I don't expect much from the Arizona Cardinals. If Arizona wins against Philadelphia, that would help out the Cowboys a lot. But from what I'm looking at right now, I don't even think that the Eagles are able to withstand a 60-minute game on offense like they were early in the season. Now, they have the easiest schedule to finish out the season. I think that they'll win 2 of the next 3 games. And as far as Seattle, they need a lot of help. First of all, what they have to do is win out and have 4 other teams lose. So that's where the Seahawks are at right now. And for that, those are my reactions for the Week 15 edition of the NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, the key is always on time.